time for another Elsie's Little Pickles, and we are the Pickle Pod for the people, trying to burst all the bullshit of the day, trying to bring, I don't know, a little bit of happiness into people's lives. I am going to start by reminding all of the listeners to please, please, please follow the Pickle Protest. If you see a MAGA household where all the signs and all the flags and all the shit is flying, don't be afraid. Do us a favor. Do your pickle protest. Pop a little gherkin on their front porch. Take a pickle or a picture of that pickle and send it to us at elsieslittlepickles.gmail.com.
Don't take a picture of your pickle on there.
No, we don't want to see your pickle. We want to see dill pickle. Okay? That would be preferred.
Don't waste the bread and butter.
No, don't waste the bread and butter on these bitches. Go kosher. And there, I'm sure that there's a little bit of a subtle insult by going kosher with that, too. I don't know.
Well, you know, APAC.
Yeah, what are you
going
to
do?
Yeah. So we are, obviously, me and Kiefer are here, and we are joined again by our guest, Pickle Colton, my son, your nephew, our political science guru. So let's get to the news, man.
Well, attorneys for Elon Musk filed notice of appearance on Thursday in the bankruptcy case of Alex Jones and his InfoWars platform.
So they just showed up and said, here's a piece of paper. It says, we're here.
We're watching.
We're not taking any of your bullshit. We're gonna do an X on you.
An excretion, if you will.
Excretion, if you will. So what does he hope to do with this? What does he hope? Does it say what he hopes to accomplish by?
Actually, no. The official filing does not disclose the purpose of X's appearance, other than to state the rights reserved to it as an interested party to request all relevant documents in the case.
I'm guessing that this is the point where we realize that Elon Musk has become Daddy Warbucks to all the idiots that got in trouble under Trump or support Trump, whether they wouldn't. Because I don't think Alex Jones had any of that had to do. I mean, that was way before Trump. That was Sandy Hook. So I mean, that goes back to Obama.
Yeah.
But I do get the feeling that he is becoming kind of a little bit of a Daddy Warbucks to anyone who he thinks is unjustly being prosecuted or going through the legal system. And you know what? For those fools who either did like Alex Jones did or like Giuliani did, I don't see him running to help Rudy, though. Do you? Or is that just not happening yet?
Yeah, probably just not yet. But also, if you want some cosmic fuckery, reporting has come out saying that Elon is a little too cozy with Iran.
Oh.
So I don't know.
I read that, yes.
I don't know to what extent. I don't know what Iran is thinking, considering they also just got a plot foiled against Trump. But you know that it's there.
Yeah, I mean, so that's something we all should be looking out for. Is, you know, I mean, because we've heard stories about him being too cozy with Putin, too cozy with, you know, obviously Iran. Now we've heard Elon being too cozy with a number of people, but what will come of it? That's what I'm interested to see. Because it's one thing if you're like approaching it offensively, not defensively, which potentially that could be the case. He could be doing that for his companies, approaching them offensively, saying, look,
not smart enough to do that.
You know what? Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. I'm not sure at this point, because all of my thoughts with Elon they've been put on a detour at best. You know, I think that he had a very cool kind of Tony Stark vibe to him, and now he's turned more into Doctor Doom.
Or Lex Luthor.
Yeah, I mean, like, kind of that crazy, you know, playboy billionaire.
The money of Stark and the brain of Gary Busey.
Yeah, that's what it's... That's exactly what it's feeling like. That's exactly what it's... The brain of Gary Busey.
Also, I don't know if you've seen this, but if you trace his torso, like that beach photo,
I saw that video.
It looks exactly like a Cybertruck.
They did that. Yeah, somebody did that where they took his the picture of him on the boat with his
beach candid.
Yeah, his beach candid photo, right? And he
Never
is.
do I want to hear the words beach candid and Elon Musk. In the
I'm
same
telling you
sentence.
what, he looked like a beluga
Never.
whale. He looked like a beluga, didn't he? I
Yeah.
mean, I'm Irish and white as white gets, but fuck me. That dude was
Might as well have had fins.
oh yeah, he totally was beluga body. But they took it and then they
Did he crawl
traced
out of a net?
well, they traced it. They traced his torso. And then they
Oh,
just
gosh. Who
then
had
all
that job.
well, it's hysterical because then all they did was tilt it on its back and elongate it a little bit, put wheels on it and windows, and it was the fucking Tesla truck.
The
it
best
was
of that is
it was the cyber truck.
the best of that is that you refer to Elon as it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, at this point, he's well, I'm starting to question whether he's actually human or if
He is the creature of the feature.
yeah, he is something else anymore. So, all right, what's the next?
And of course, obviously, the Onion won and bought Infowars.
Do you know how much they paid? I'm dying to know how much they paid.
Offhand, no, but I know that the Onion is sharing the prize of Infowars with the families of Sandy Hook.
Yeah, if I'm remembering off the top of my head, they paid somewhere in the neighborhood of 400 million for it. I could be wrong on that.
Wow, I
But
didn't
if
think
I'm
the
remembering
Onion.
correctly.
I didn't think the Onion had pockets that deep.
Well, they also had help from the families of Sandy Hook. They bought it jointly.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
So they took the winnings from the Alex Jones court case for Sandy Hook and they put it towards tearing down his empire.
That's actually fucking Machiavellian. I mean, that's
Yeah.
fucking that. I wouldn't have thought of that. And I gotta imagine.
Somewhere Alex is. You're making it.
Well, wait a minute. So I don't think they've ever gotten the payout yet, though. Have they? They haven't
The
gotten.
globalists.
They haven't gotten their first payout, right?
I'm not sure on that.
So I'm wondering if they just leveraged what was owed to each family without receiving the monies. Because that, I mean, look, each family got a sizable chunk, and you know, let's face it, that's a little bit difficult to just go, no, we're going to do this with that. But the fact that they did, and hopefully it was all the families that decided to do that, that would be a phenomenal show of unity.
Yeah.
Yes.
Solidarity.
Yeah, I think that that's actually kind of cool. I think Alex Jones is going nowhere, and it really won't particularly matter. I'd like to know how the Onion's going to use that domain, because, I mean, I'm guessing they get to keep the domain name, which is Infowars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I almost wonder if they're just going to keep prodding him like Dance Monkey Dance.
Alex Jones?
Dance.
Yeah.
Like just forcing him to continue to work for them?
Yeah, like you continue doing your show, but you're owned by the premier satire news organization. So that's what you'll be remembered as.
That would be actually really interesting. I mean, that's, again, like I said, there's this kind of Machiavellian feel to the whole thing.
Yeah.
You're going to be broadcasting with these cattle prods attached to your testicles.
And then John Onion is going to sit there and
Yeah.
turn the battery on and off.
I think that would actually be more entertaining than anything either of those companies are doing. I like it.
Or he could just carry on regularly broadcasting and the family gets to walk up and slap him during it.
Well, look, I mean, I think the idea of him losing ownership of the company and then having to work for said company so that he can pay off his debt to the families. I mean, like,
Yeah.
that is a level.
You're going to continue doing InfoWars until you gross us enough money to pay off not only our purchase of your empire,
Right.
but also the Sandy Hook families.
Yeah. I mean,
I mean, he was in for like over $1 billion with a B dollars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's why I say, like, I'm kind of down for that, but because that to me would be more punishing for him than even going to jail, is the idea that he wouldn't be made a martyr, he'd be made a fool. That to me is that's punishment.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what else is in the news there, Kiefer?
We also have Russian scientists have unveiled the remarkably preserved remains of a juvenile, basically a kitten, saber-toothed cat.
Oh, I bet they're
completely
adorable.
intact.
I bet they're adorable even when they're like frozen. at
Yeah,
that
they
age.
they don't have the twofers yet.
No, but they got to be adorable, man. I mean, I love cats. You guys know I love cats.
Yeah.
The idea that you could have a baby saber-toothed tiger, oh, fuck yeah, let's go. I would totally be down for it. Like, I mean, like, if they
Goddamn
can get...
lib cock
if
preferring a cat.
You asshole.
How dare you.
Let's not forget that you dribbled out of my dick. All right.
Soft men, hard times.
Soft man,
Oh.
hard times.
Oh, Lordy, what have we become?
Oh, this just evolved quickly. Oh, shit. I'm sorry, but back to the kitty. Let's get back to the pussy.
The mummified cub, I almost said club. Mummified cub belonging to the species of Homotherium latidens, whatever that means.
Homo Aladdin.
Homo Aladdin. I think we've seen that movie from Disney.
Anybody tell Jasmine?
Not yet,
Was
but
discovered in 2020 in permafrost on the banks of the river in Yakutia, Russia's Siberian region.
seriously though, I
Which
mean,
this brings in the idea that, you know, they could try to extract the DNA.
I would
and
love that. That
clone
would,
it.
yeah, that would be amazing. I would think that they would be able to do that and be able to do that with like a, I don't know,
Stem
somebody,
cell type deal.
well, like a Siberian tiger or
They're
something.
doing that with the Tasmanian tiger,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The Tasmanian,
which there are images now that they believe there is one, maybe two left. Tasmanian tigers, that is.
so, you know, here's the thing. I don't think a lot of people think about. There's a lot of species that you may never even know that exist. It doesn't mean that you want them to go to to go away, even if it's not for any other reason than, preserving the species. Forget whether or not.
Black-footed ferret.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think the black-footed ferret does anything that's necessarily useful, but they were able to save the species, which I think is fantastic. And
They're
not to sound
also talking about doing that with the woolly mammoth.
well, that's the one I'm really excited to see. I know that they've got enough DNA now that supposedly they think that they can take African. I think it's an African. It might be an Indian elephant, but they apparently think that they can implant the egg into the elephant and get that done. I mean, we're getting to the point where it's like there are so many movies that we watched growing up that are the technology is actually becoming true. You know what I mean? So like even TV shows,
Star Trek with the smartphones,
right?
Like
it's
Yeah.
early concept smartphone.
exactly. And we've talked about this before. Like even
Not just that,
doors
but
that
the
open.
tricorder for readings. A person was inspired by Star Trek and made the gauges your temperature. Apparently, it could even check your blood sugar just by scanning it.
Yeah, the one that really impressed me more than anything, though, was the doors that open by stepping on the mat. And then when they got rid of the mat, I was like, oh, how are they doing
You ever
this?
see the bloopers where they go to the door supposed to automatically open as they approach, and it didn't because the stagehand wasn't there, and they just
no,
walk into the door.
Like that one stormtrooper.
Yes, that bumped
Yes.
his head.
Yes.
Yep. That's perfect. That's perfect. But I mean, think about it though. I mean, all these technologies that were absolutely science fiction when at least me and your uncle were growing up, but to a lesser degree, even for you, whether that's, Jurassic Park with the stuff that's going on, it's really incredible. I mean, people don't appreciate. It's easy to get disappointed and bogged down with the daily bullshit of life, and it's easy to get depressed with the politics of the moment, or it's easy to get depressed by your financial circumstances, your job circumstances, your educational, like all those things are easy to have weigh on you heavy, okay? But when you think about the actual time that we're living in, where it's like they're going to make fucking Jurassic Park probably in less than 20 years. Like, I could see in 20, 25 years, we can go and watch fucking dinosaurs. And I also see that just like in the movie, ending badly. But I'm just saying we could get there, right? Like that.
It'd be good for a minute.
It's going to be great for a minute. Are you kidding me? It's going to be fucking amazing. You're going to be like going
until one goddamn temp leaves a door unlocked.
Well, see, I'm looking forward to like at the zoo.
The monkeys in South Carolina.
Yeah, exactly. That are still roaming, apparently, right? The monkeys
Yep.
have they caught any of them? Do you know?
Not that I know.
Okay,
of,
so
no.
for those listening,
Ooh, motherfucker.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the story goes that a zookeeper accidentally left the doors open on the monkey enclosure, right? It was a zoo, right? Or was it No, it was
a research
lab. He forgot to lock the door, and these 34 monkeys got out, and they're all over the place playing.
I just picture all these people turning and looking at the one guy.
Who locked up this last night?
And you know that son of a
David.
bitch, that son of a bitch came in late, right? On the regular, like he was always the guy who's like, sorry, there was, I'm late. It was traffic. And they're like, bullshit. We can still smell last night on you. You smell like a fucking brewery, right?
The
And he's
guy
like,
looks like Otto from The Simpsons.
right.
Sorry, dude.
Yeah, sorry, dude. So, that they all did have that moment of just turning and looking at him. And he's probably like looking down at his phone or something like that, watching TikTok, and he's like, looks up because he feels the silence, and he's like, what? You left the fucking monkeys out, you asshole. So I wonder.
Who let the monkeys out?
Well, it was a research facility. I wonder what.
Ooh.
I wonder.
Dave from accounting.
Yeah. I wonder though, what were they researching with those monkeys, and is there any issue as far as them containing any pathogens or disease or?
They did say no on the pathogens or anything like that. But
So
I believe
someone's
they
going
were
to get their face torn off by a chimp with lipstick. Good
yes,
to know.
That's
Yes.
basically what we're getting at.
I believe they were harvesting monkey farts.
Well, I think we can all agree that the monkey fart supply has dwindled in the last decade or two.
Yeah,
And-
that price is going to go up.
It's going
Just a reminder to anyone that doesn't know, you said it was South Carolina
Yes.
area? Okay. Well, as unfortunate as it is, every zoo is on the same page with this. Chimps are the only animals that are kill on sight if they escape. So,
Really?
yeah,
So I don't know.
Because
These were probably
they will
Apparently,
fucking brutalize you.
I need to avoid apparently the Carolinas.
They will brutalize you.
Do you
if
know
they
what
get
kind of
hold.
monkeys they were? Were they capuchin?
Oh, offhand, I don't know.
We're gonna have to dig back
Every
into that.
report just says monkeys, so I'm going to guess capuchin.
Yeah, well,
If it says monkeys, then don't worry about the chimps, but still worry about the chimps.
yeah. People look. I always wanted a chimp, especially when I saw Michael Jackson with Bubbles, and then I heard later on stories about that, and he's like, "Oh no, don't go near Bubbles. He's not safe anymore. Like he'll rip your fucking face
Yeah, I
off."
wonder what he did to Bubbles.
I don't think he had to do anything. I think Bubbles smelled it on him. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna fuck you with a banana, like rip your
And
face
in-
off and fuck you in the
In
ass with a
other
banana."
news, North Korean soldiers are apparently useless in battle.
You don't
Thousands
say.
have already died, including 2 North Korean soldiers who have died after drinking large amounts of liquor.
Ah!
I have an addition to this story.
Ooh.
So when you first mentioned that, I was thinking of a different related story. Apparently, North Korean soldiers are so wrapped up in not having restricted internet that
Yeah.
the first thing that all of them did was get addicted to porn.
Isn't this just like a story we did about some fucking tribe in the Congo or some shit? Remember?
Yeah, with Starlink.
With Starlink, yeah. As soon
Yeah.
as they had access, they didn't want to do a fucking
Online
thing.
gambling and jerking off.
That's it. Well, I don't even think they were gambling because where are they going to go? Yeah, I'm going to put 4 coconuts up against the bears. No, that ain't happening.
2 conch shells on red.
Yeah. So, but the porn part of it, see, porn's become very, very noticeable in the news lately. There in society, because you've got, as me and your uncle have discussed before, you've got this group of trads, traditional living, you know.
The tradcons.
The tradcons, yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So apparently they're very against porn, and they've been making a push to try to make porn illegal.
It's part of Project 2025.
It is part of Project 2025. Everyone needs to listen up to this because it is part of Project 2025. And yeah, South Carolina, you and your fucking monkeys voted for this. So when you can't jack off,
you're gonna have to upload ID to Pornhub, which is ridiculous.
Oh, great! So now, like people are going to give an actual ID that could identify them, and then go look at some of the most vile shit because they've already gotten to
ordering
the
a
point.
McLovin.
Yeah,
I'm already ordering a McLovin.
You got to, because I mean, let's face it. If you're to the point where you're actually going to give some form of identification so you can get to porn, if you're at that point, you're way past. Look, this is way past a Sears catalog addiction. This is way past Victoria's Secret. This is like, you got some fucking twisted shit going on that you've worked your way through and up to. There's no trust me, I spent 30 years on the road, and during that time, internet pornography was just coming about, right? It just becoming a thing. You could sit there with a dial-up, and you would type in what you wanted to see, and it would take so fucking
all 4 pixels of the titties.
Yeah, and it would take so fucking long. I would actually go to sleep and wait till the morning to see the fucking picture. Right? So,
and it was some dude instead of a chick,
and I would be so pissed. Right? So this it's interesting because it shows that we're all the same, at least men. It doesn't matter if we're, fucking in the jungle somewhere and we've never seen any technology before in our life. It doesn't matter
or escaping a dictator in North Korea.
Or escaping a dictator in North Korea so we can become cannon fodder in Ukraine or Russia.
I think this is a good commentary on the duality of man.
I think you're absolutely right. We either want to fight or fuck. And if given the choice, we'll take fucking over fighting. I mean, that's really what it boils down to, right? These guys, they're so amazed that they have unrestricted. They're going to go back. The ones that survive, they're going to go back and they're going to tell people, do you know what's really out there?
Their family's going to be like, you look gaunt and you're scratching your arms all the time. What's up with you?
I'm shooting getting more of them titties.
And I'm shooting powder puffs out of my penis.
At this point, I'll take fucking little Kim.
Yeah. But they are
in other news.
Hold on. This is something I need to put back that choo-choo up for a second. This is why I honestly think that pornography it should be celebrated, perhaps, instead of denigrated the way they're doing it. And the reason I say this is
an expression of freedom. Not
only as an expression of freedom, but if you take all these people, specifically, let's say just North Korea, all right? You take all of North Korea and you just get them exposed to pornography that cannot be shut off, internet porn that cannot be shut off by Little Kim. That country changes overnight. It changes in a very short period of time. And I think that's how we win. That's how we bring down North Korea.
Down with Juche.
All we got to do is have a titty campaign. And we can literally have a zero casualty war with North Korea just by continuously piping in pornography.
Let's get Elon on, instead of Radio Free Asia, we'll get Internet Free North Korea.
Dude, I would totally Robin Williams that shit, like a Good Morning Vietnam. I'd be like, good morning, North Korea. Grab your putt and start a pounding. Let's go. I think that might be the secret to world peace. I've said this for a long time. I swear to you, you want world peace, it's in the hands and mouths and vaginas of women. Women, stop If you don't like the way the world is, you don't like the way your politics is, you don't like the war, you don't like any of that, take away all sexual activity. Not as just an individual between you and your husband or boyfriend, fiance, or lover. You have to, as a group of women, have to just shut that shit down and go, you're not getting any of this until you stop that shit.
Funny enough, South Korea is having a little bit of a deal with that. Have either of you heard about the 4B movement?
No.
Okay, so in South Korea, they have such a toxic masculinity culture to the point where, like, the men in South Korea, a lot of them don't even view women as people. They view them as objects for sex. Rape is through the roof in South Korea.
Wait. Are you saying they're not objects? What are you trying to say?
But the 4B movement is essentially like it's kind of a complicated situation because it's a radical feminist movement in the sense that it's no boyfriends, no relationships, no sex, and no children, which in Korea, I would assume in Korean, all start with the letter B. But they also are like incredibly anti-trans and they're incredibly like anti-lesbian and all this. So it's like, it's a very feminist movement, but at the same time, it's like a very, very conservative feminist movement.
Look, you got to give them the opportunity to start somewhere. You know what I mean? I would take that in what they're giving in an effort to tamp down the toxic masculinity, specifically when it comes to objectifying them, specifically when it comes to looking at them as possessions rather than people. So I'll take that as a win. I'll take that as a win.
And that's kind of where I'm at with it, where it's like I am very in favor of the broad strokes of the movement, no pun intended.
They're South Korean. Those strokes aren't that broad.
But once you kind of get into the movement and you see kind of like the whole scope of it, there are definitely some backwards elements in it.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I think that this is the problem though, with more progressive thinking people like yourself and myself. And it's less so, I think, with you and me, but very, very predominant within the Democratic Party and in liberalism, but specifically with white people in the Democratic Party and in liberalism, is this idea that if it's not perfectly how I want it to be, it's wrong. It's wrong.
I think that's just broadly an American thing.
It might be, but I think that like where we all come together is at some place in the middle. And if that's even the starting point, you know what I mean? Like we all agree, oh, okay, this isn't perfect. Your side doesn't like some stuff. My side doesn't like some stuff. That's how you know you've got a good deal. Okay.
Right. Well,
that's part of negotiating.
It's strategic coalition building. That's what it comes down to. It's like, I agree with 60% of what you're saying. That's a majority.
So we should be allies on that 60%, if nothing else.
Yeah. I mean, you even saw that with the polar opposites in Congress right now. AOC and Matt Gaetz both signed on to this. I forget what it was, but they signed on to the same like bill. Which
I give both of them credit for, because while I'm not a fan of either of them, okay, I'm really not. Like, even though I tilt far more liberal than I do conservative, and even though we can get into Matt Gaetz and later in the show as far as like becoming attorney general and whatnot, the idea of a negotiation.
His father was just elected, by the way.
Matt Gaetz' father?
Yes, to the Senate.
Oh, ew.
Oh, he's taken Matt's spot?
Matt was representative.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt was a representative, but he retired in order to be eligible for the AG job and to skip his opportunity to be humiliated with the ethics report, which is still
probably going to come out.
It's still probably going to come out, but there's going to be a lot of
the best efforts of Magic Mike Johnson.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, there's no fucking secrets in Washington. It's going to come out, whether legit or as a leak.
Yeah.
But I guess my broader point is when it comes to whether it's the North Koreans or the South Koreans, the idea of utilizing sexuality to control the ridiculous, that to me is not a bad idea. You know what I mean? Like, you can't, I used to say this on stage, you can't be mad when you're coming. Try it. Try to be angry. Try to be mad. Try to be upset when you're busting a nut. You can't do it. You cannot do it. You can do it moments later after you've, had a sandwich and something to drink, maybe had a smoke.
Once the post-nut clarity comes in.
Yeah, once you got post-nut clarity, it's a whole different thing. Thank you. That is exactly the verbiage I was looking for. I am so proud of my son. He just came up with a political term, post-nut clarity.
Oh, I didn't come up with that. I'm not taking credit for that.
But as a political term, no one's ever used that before. You've never seen somebody on CNN or Fox or MSNBC
MAGA voters are dealing with some post-nut clarity after Trump's
they don't
win.
know that, but and maybe at some point you will see, I don't see it happening on cable news, but you might see Megyn Kelly on her podcast or Tucker Carlson going,
Maybe
this
wasn't a good idea.
Turns out we're all facing PNC. Post-nut clarity. Like, I could see that as like part of their podcasting, and I would love to see that. All right. You said you had other news? Hit me with it, Kiefer.
Well, in some interesting news, we have two appointments. One, Trump picks TV's Dr. Oz to run Medicare and Medicaid. And to run the Department of, Small Business Affairs, he has tapped George Jefferson.
Sorry, Colton, that reference might be lost on you.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I know the Jeffersons, the show, but I have never watched.
Yeah.
Oh, at least you got the reference.
No, at least you got what you needed out of it.
There we go.
Okay, so this gets to what I really wanted to get into on this particular podcast, which is disappointment. And
much like Oz's wife.
Yeah. So
much like everyone that was supporting John Fetterman over Dr. Oz.
I find that the last 2 weeks I have been dealing with epic levels of disappointment. I was disappointed by the election results. I was disappointed in our country for those election results. I was disappointed that I thought that Mike Tyson would win and Jake Paul won instead. I was disappointed when I found out that Matt Gaetz was being floated for attorney general. I was disappointed when I heard that Trump, the judge in New York, was approached by the prosecutors, and they said, yeah, let's hold off on the sentencing. So I've been disappointed by the fact that not only are participants in the January 6th bullshit going to end up probably pardoned by Trump, I've been disappointed by the fact that his choices are cartoonish. His choices for these particular appointments are almost ridiculous in the sense of
it's a clown show.
Not only is it a clown show, but it is definitively not just a fuck you to Democrats. It's an even bigger fuck you to Republicans. I think that this might come back to bite him in some way, though he seems to get away with whatever he wants because, well, he's Teflon Don. So
he's our sweaty, beefy boy.
Yeah, I mean, so like there's been a lot of disappointments, right? However, today, when I read that Dr. Oz was going to be in charge of Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, I got to be honest with you, I had a little bit of a smile. And I'm going to tell you, my perspective changed. Not because I think he is the most qualified. He is absolutely not. Just like Matt Gaetz. But I started thinking about these appointments, and I started thinking, I'm going to actually, rather than be disappointed in them, I'm going to celebrate them. And I'm going to push and promote them. And I'm going to tell people, yes, I think Matt Gaetz should be Attorney General. Yes, I think Kristi Noem should be whatever the fuck she's going to be. Yes.
Head dog killer of,
yeah,
of
whatever.
the country.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's my point, is none of these positions matter. Because the only thing that is going to come out of every one of these fucking appointments is they're there to protect Trump and to do what he says. So
Yeah, they're
none of this,
all just puppets at this point.
they are. So why not enjoy the puppet show? Why not have the most ridiculous of ridiculous? If we're going to have everyone who's going to be in the cabinet either be, a MAGA sycophant or a TV show host, including the president, well, at some point you got to go, this is must-see TV. This is...
honestly, I see your perspective because, honestly, at this point, let's just get David Duke as the advisor on race relations.
Please. I would float that right now.
We're already so far down the rabbit hole on this. Fuck it. Might as well. Let's get silly with it.
No, and the reason I say this is because this is what the country voted for. So let's give them what they asked for. You want this. This is what you want. This is what you said.
What was that post I showed you a few days ago, Dad? It was the MAGA is in a situation where it's almost as if they shit themselves in an elevator, where everyone is gonna just say it's okay. You don't worry about it. It happens. But that shame is never going to go away, and no one's going to forget that.
Right. And I think that was actually a very astute observation by the person who posted that on Reddit, because it is very much like that. So let's say you're constipated, right? And you can't go, and you're miserable. And then you're in an elevator, and you shouldn't have trusted that fart. I'm looking at you, Keith. And you shit yourself. Well, you should be relieved that the pain that you had is gone.
Could that just be a shirt?
It could have been. But I think that for most of these people that are actually realizing, oh, he wasn't joking about that. Oh, he is actually going to do that.
My fart is running down my leg.
Yeah. My vote is running down my leg is what it is. Because your vote was shit. It was a shit vote. And you know it. And you may think that he's going to make the economy better, but I fucking guarantee you that ain't going to happen. So what are you voting for? If he was truly the only one that can make the economy better with his ideas and everything else was shit, I would still be like, okay, well, I get it. I at least understand that they're voting with their pocketbooks, and maybe that's the only thing that they think about. You know what I mean? I can at least understand and appreciate it, even if I disagree with it.
But it's worth pointing out as well, not to make the ever, I forget, there's a certain name for it. Every conversation eventually devolves into a Hitler reference, but Hitler was voted in on the same premise of he's just a rabble rouser. He's not actually going to do that to Jewish people. He's not actually going to do that to Roma people. He's not actually going to do that. He's not going to do that. I'm voting for him for the economy.
Right.
That is the exact same.
But that also gets back.
Same.
It gets back to my argument that we are absolutely trying to live or relive all of the worst moments of the
we're
20th
doing a greatest
century.
hits tour.
We're
doing a greatest hits tour.
Yeah, but it's all the shit B-sides.
Yeah.
All right. So it's a greatest hits tour of the 20th century, but it's also a greatest hits tour of all the worst shit. And we're going, well, maybe we just need to tweak that and it would be all right. It's not okay. It's never going to be okay. This is the reason why
we're getting a 2-hour concert of Round and Round by Rat.
Yes, it's never going to be good. It's never going to be good. This was a Twitter or Twix that I thought was interesting. This guy, Ryan, I'm going to name him Ryan McGee. He said, I want to get in a time machine to go back to 1998 and try to convince people that in 2024, a near 60-year-old Mike Tyson will be fighting a kid from Disney Channel over the World Wide Web via the company that rents DVDs via mail broadcast, and it's going to be broadcast by Rosie Perez. That's the insanity. Okay? That's literally the insanity.
Yeah.
Of, 28 years?
Speaking of Perez, anybody catch the Tyson fight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it weird to have Perez as one of the commentators?
To me, it was, but I'm not. I don't follow boxing, and I believe
not that she was terrible or anything.
No,
it was
no.
Just like
I think
I was watching. I wasn't really listening.
She knew what she was talking about. She knew what she was talking about. So I don't watch boxing typically, and I definitely don't watch women's boxing ever. But I believe she's a commentator for women's boxing, and I could be totally wrong on that. I could be totally wrong on that, but I believe she does.
Sense.
I believe she does commentating for women's boxing, and I got to tell you, she did a great fucking job in my opinion.
Yeah, she was great.
She really was. She was fucking amazing.
It could have just been Rosie and Morrow. Morrow brings life to anything.
Yeah, but Rosie really, she knew what she was talking about. She knew the strategies. She knew the punches. She knew everything. And honestly, the most entertaining fight was the fight right before Tyson and Paul. There were two women that fought, and I wish I could remember their names, but I got to tell you, that was one of the most amazing fights I've ever seen. And here's where I'll give Jake Paul credit. Apparently, he's been very, very aggressively pushing for women's boxing and getting them more recognition, getting them higher paydays, getting them more accolades, getting them more TV time, all that shit, or more press or whatever. So while I think Jake Paul is an arrogant Disney kid piece of shit,
I will agree,
but I'll give him the nod of well done on this particular thing, because women's.
See, I'll give him that. I'll also give him one other thing. So I don't follow boxing. I don't follow MMA. If it's on, I'll watch it. Like, out of all of this, if there's 10 TVs and they have 10 sports on, but MMA or boxing is one of them, that's the TV I'm watching.
Yeah.
Right?
Right, because there's potential for somebody to get hurt.
What I will give Jake Paul credit for, as much as I think he's a smarmy little asshole, is the fact that he was on a really bad path of addiction and drug abuse and all of this because of his time at Disney. And he turned his life around through boxing.
Did they touch his little cinnamon ring?
They might have. Who knows? I mean, I don't know if you guys watched earlier in the year the Dan Schneider expose from Nickelodeon.
Yeah, I watched most of it. I couldn't watch all of it, and mainly because
watched all of it, and every single live action kids show that I grew up on is ruined for me.
Yeah,
but part of it that really fucked me up. I was never a Disney kid. I was always Nickelodeon. I was always Cartoon Network. They just moved them from Nickelodeon to Disney. Like, anytime someone would get, a little too hot at one production company, as far as touching kids, that is, they would move over to Disney, or they'd move from Disney to Nickelodeon.
I was really sad for Amanda Bynes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And she was dragged all over the media.
Dan Schneider, if you're listening, eat shit and puke.
Yeah, cunt. Yeah, that shit. None of that plays well with me. None of that plays well with me. But like I said, I've been focused so much on disappointments in the last couple of weeks. I'd like to talk about something that is not a disappointment.
Can I disappoint you one more time before we do that?
Motherfucker, go ahead.
All right. So, anyone listening at home, are you a tax cheat, or in some other sense a target of the IRS?
Is this going to be an ad?
Yeah, good news. The worst that they can do is freeze your assets and take them, send you to prison, and ruin your life. Well, on the other hand, the Pentagon has failed its 7th audit in a row, and they still exist.
Holy shit.
Yeah, they are not accounting. They're unable to fully account for $824 billion.
And I think I know where that $824 billion is going.
Where might that be?
Keith, do you have the last story?
That's very dramatic.
Thank you.
Bring forth.
Bring forth your last story, sir.
Well, sir, we have, well, essentially,
Oh, goodness.
they had another hearing about UFOs, even though I should bring up that an alien expert, can you really be an alien expert? Is that really possible?
Probably not. But,
You can call yourself that. I mean,
that would be like, I am a professor of collecting thoughts.
I think the only one legitimately, well, I'll give that title to two people. Okay,
I know who you're gonna.
Hynek,
Yeah,
from Project Blue Book. I would give that title. The other one would be George Knapp.
Who is that? I would give a third. Who is that guy? They did I forget his name. He exposed the UFO reverse engineering program.
Yeah,
and then also got found out for running a brothel out of a motel.
yeah, that's not all true. There was a big hit on him.
Yeah, and it was very obviously to smear his credibility. Bob Lazar, that's his name.
Bob Lazar.
yes.
Here's the thing with Bob Lazar. His story has not changed in 30 plus, almost 40 years. His story has not changed. The smears against him have gone up and down over the course of that period of time. Those smears are coming from typically outside influences that can probably be traced back to government programs or government agencies. I don't disbelieve Bob Lazar. I don't think Bob Lazar is lying. I don't know that he is telling the truth, but I don't think he's lying. Okay. And when you talk about the element that he said that they had, but were not able to replicate until just recently.
Yeah, element 115 or whatever.
Yeah, element 115. I think it was 115. And then they were able to reproduce that at CERN in just the smallest of quantities, which was something that did not exist on this planet prior to that. The fact that he called that ball 30 years out gives me the feeling of his credibility. The other person I would give credibility to is Lou Elizondo. I mean, and this goes beyond what I'm saying as far as credibility. I'm talking about people who are credible experts in this field. I'm not talking about witnesses that are credible. I'm not talking about Grush or Fravor, or, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not talking about the military as far as credible witnesses. I'm not talking about any of that. What I am talking about is the fact that it does seem that there are plenty of shenanigans going on with the budget at the Pentagon.
I mean, 7 audits in a row.
You love it when
I can't help giggle whenever I see shenanigans.
Yeah, you love when I'm able to pull shenanigans into the conversation every time, ever since you were a kid.
Kiefer is a well-known shenaniganer.
Yeah, he's
you
a
guys
total
talking about shenanigans?
Yeah, not me. 6, 7 years old, I'd say shenanigan. He'd pop up.
Maybe a little bit of tomfoolery or ne'er-do-welling.
He is not a tomfoolery guy, but he has been a ne'er-do-well.
Oh, I'm all about tomfoolery.
You never were as a child, though. You were staying away from tomfoolery as much as possible. It was like tomfoolery was going to touch your butthole. You just moved on.
That might be true, but also known chicaner.
Well, there you go. See? And
known
fancy
chicaner.
Cousin of tomfoolery.
Now, did I ever tell you what Colton's middle name is? Thesaurus.
It's true. I got beat up for it.
Color me shocked, dismayed, astounded,
perplexed even. Oh, you never get a good thesaurus joke ever on a podcast. And there you go, people. You're fucking welcome. You are fucking welcome.
Yeah, this is his fuck you, that's funny.
Yeah, that is.
My other half once accused me of stealing her thesaurus, and I was dismayed, shocked, if you will,
baffled, befuddled,
upset,
crushed.
Alien expert warns.
Hey, you guys are putting me in too good of a fucking mood. Okay.
How dare you?
He's too happy to talk about aliens. Okay,
I'm still happy to talk about aliens, but don't get me in too good of a fucking mood. We still have another podcast that we have to do about all this shit later in the week.
So they're from the oceans. Am I understanding that correctly?
So that's part of it. That's why they did the reclassification instead of UFO. Now it's UAP, which means unidentified anomalous, whatever.
I thought it was unidentified aerial phenomena.
No. It's unidentified anomalous phenomenon. And it was aerial phenomenon for a minute. Then they recognized that this was going on in the lakes and oceans. And so they had to reclassify it. And now there's even talk about interdimensional aspects. So the idea is that they're trying to find
like it is said, never gives up or dead.
Exactly. Well done there. You don't get very many Gordon Lightfoot references. And there you go. So like the idea was to create a nomenclature for all of it. So whether it's air, interdimensional, or
little gray people in your front yard,
all of it, really. But what was interesting was, if I'm not mistaken, I watched the whole thing, but there was a lot of information to take in. I believe Lou Elizondo said, yes, we have craft and we have biologics. And yes, I know that we have them. I can't prove it to you in this setting, but if you want to go into a secure skiff, we can go over that. That's what I took away from it. Mm-hmm. Was basically Lou Elizondo was saying, bitches, this shit's real, and we've got it, and we're reverse engineering it.
Now, Dad, you know my take on this. Uncle Keith, you probably don't, at least not fully, but we've had discussions about this, especially when the first hearing happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what did I tell you about my take on it?
You're not going to be impressed by anything until there's something to be impressed by. And
exactly.
You meant that
it's not
in the physical sense.
It's not real to me. It's not necessarily of import until it's material, right?
So do you think, though, that your age group feels that in general, or is that like, I mean, does your age group give a fuck, or do they have an opinion on this, or do you only have an opinion of it because I talk about it?
I think the Bro Rogan crowd probably has some pretty strong opinions on it, but outside of that, most of us are pretty much just worried about, like, okay, can I get into a career that I'm going to make enough money to pay the light bill and get groceries?
Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah, exactly. So,
I hate to say it, but that's, I mean, literally, it's good luck, Chuck.
I think the majority of my generation are, and obviously I haven't done a poll or anything like that, but if I had to venture a guess, most of us are more worried about, okay, in 5 years, what am I going to be doing, and will I have enough money for the bills and groceries?
Well,
and then,
but my question is
beyond that,
go ahead.
If it becomes material, then it's of some import.
I guess my question is this: where do you guys actually see us at the end of this Trump presidency? I mean,
in a Trump dictatorship.
Well, no, and maybe that's the case. Okay, but
couldn't that technically? Aren't they doing what is that? King's Clause or something?
They're trying.
Kings. Yeah,
yes,
they're trying to.
They're trying to, but that probably won't happen.
They don't even currently have a majority in either house, so that's not happening.
So I guess my point is that while we're and I've said this on at least the last episode, I think I said it. I sincerely hope that I'm wrong about Trump. I hope that whatever he does is in the best interest of the country, and we prosper from it. Okay. However, I don't believe that that's going to be the case. And I'm actually curious and wondering if, had it not been for COVID, was Trump supposed to be the useful idiot for whoever? Okay. Those in the know, let's call it. Because regardless of whoever the president is at any given time, there are also those in the world that are more in the know than those who are supposed to know. And those are the people that have their little conferences, have their little getaways, have their little get-togethers.
That's your G7. That's your,
That's your G7. That's your G12. That's your fucking, what's the one out in the woods with the fucking owl? Oh, God. I can't think of it.
The Bohemian Grove.
Bohemian Grove. That, like, all of those different things, right? All these different fucking things. There are those that are more in the know than whoever the current president is.
Well, here's a wild guess, just a guess. I think in his second term, Trump makes good on his promise to open the JFK files, and I think he makes good on his promise to open up the alien files, whatever might be there, whether they're
he
from
would
the
need
oceans or elsewhere. What he
would
will
need the
also
distraction.
do. But yeah, he's going to use those as a distraction while he shreds and burns the Epstein files.
Yeah.
That's what I see happening.
All right, but do you think, and this is for both of you, and I agree with you, I think that there's the potential that those in the know were shocked by COVID and then had intended that he would be in office 2020 to 2024 in an effort to get disclosure out there, to get some of these hard things out there, whether that's JFK, whether that's disclosure. I don't give a shit what your conspiracy theory is. Like this idea that we need a useful idiot that will shed all of this once and for all so that we can actually move forward in a different direction. I think that that's quite possible. I think that he will use those things when possible as a distraction. I don't know how that's going to turn out, because I do believe that whether you're talking, well, let's just talk, Abrahamic religions, right? So when you're talking to three major Abrahamic religions, dealing with the idea of actually being confronted with the fact that there is life out there that may or may not, but may more likely be more intelligent than us. And suddenly we're not the highest predator anymore.
No, and that gets into dark forest theory, if you've looked into that at all.
I have not.
So dark forest theory is essentially the idea that if there are other life forms out there, and if, taken as granted, all of the visitations and the abductions, their technology is so infinitely ahead of ours that it is unintelligent for us to be broadcasting our location, because it's as if you're walking around in a dark forest. If there's even one
like fucking hungry bear does it. Is all it takes.
Let's say you're in a 10 square mile forest, but there's one murderer out there somewhere. Are you walking around with a flashlight?
Yeah. Yeah, I get where that theory comes into play. I think that that's actually very valid. But like I said, I think that this has been something that's been around for so long at this point. And I say it predates Roswell. I think it way predates Roswell. I mean, everyone goes to Roswell, but there's also the one in Washington where the pilot saw. And
before Roswell, there was also the Foo Fighters.
Well, no, the Foo Fighters.
Dave Grohl is actually pre-World War II, if you didn't know.
Yeah. Actually, you're right. You're right. But you had the Foo Fighters, but you also had Roswell. And then there was something else in Washington where the actual term flying saucer was coined by the guy who saw it. So like I said, I think that my view is that we should stop being depressed by the people that he's choosing for his cabinet. We should enjoy
Speaking of which, 2 new tappings, breaking news, to head the food department of the FDA. Trump has tapped the Burger King and Ronald McDonald. Second only to his choice of the Hamburglar and Grimace.
Yeah, that's hysterical. Let me guess. When it comes to diabetes studies, he's going to Wendy.
Yeah.
You saw the story.
I saw the story. Like I said, I think that we should be able to sit back. Like after I've had a couple of weeks here of reflection, I really am of the opinion this is what people wanted. Whether it works or whether it doesn't work, we've never seen this before. We've never tried it before. So it's either going to shut down those ideas because people go, fuck that, we're not doing that again. We learned our lesson. Or it's going to inflame those ideas, and maybe that's for the better. We don't know at this point.
Either way, remember the 5th of November.
Exactly. And on that note, that's another Elsie's Little Pickles, motherfuckers.